Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome back to A Realm Reborn Restart. In this series, I am replaying the A Realm Reborn main scenario quests in Final Fantasy XIV, patches 2.0 through 2.55, plus the Crystal Tower series. We're doing this because in patch 5.3, they're actually going to be shortening this process because it is a very long one and a lot of players quit during this time. I'm going to see how long it takes me to go through this at a very casual pace compared to how a new player might experience it nowadays, and then after 5.3, we'll come back and see just how different the two were. Now in this video we're going to be covering days 3 and 4 combined. Day 3 really wasn't that eventful and it didn't feel like it was worth a video all on its own. If you want to check out days 1 and 2, be sure to check the playlist. It's going to be in the little eye in the top right corner of the video, and I'll include it in the description, as well as a brief summary of the rules of this challenge. So for days 3 and 4, I wasn't sure entirely what the theme would be until I decided that I wasn't going to make a video for day 3. Day 3 and 4 wrap up what we're going to call the first 24. Yeah, probably going to get a copyright strike for that one, but that's probably okay. By the end of day 4, I had just about 24 hours played time, 23 hours and 45 minutes, and I'm sure some of that was wasted on playing with my cat or some stupid other stuff. Either way, this was a pretty good measure of our first full day's worth of playtime hours and just how much we got accomplished. So what did we accomplish in that time? Well, in days 3 and 4, we got from level 27 to 39. Not too bad considering that makes just about a level an hour. A little bit off, it's a little bit less than that, but still more progress than I had expected to make. More importantly though, we need to scale that versus how much of the main scenario we got done. The entire point of day 2 was to establish a lead over the main scenario, one that we actually got up to a pretty reasonable amount. Scrolling back through my notes, we went from 5 levels ahead of the main scenario to 7 levels ahead of it in day 2. And we've actually extended that lead in days 3 and 4 because now I got from level 20 main scenario quest to the level 30 main scenario quest, giving us 9 levels of a gap between the main scenario and where we actually are. So we're getting even further ahead of the main scenario, and we still have 11 levels to go before we're at 50. And honestly, I didn't do anything special. I've just been doing my guild hests every 5 levels, leave quests whenever I get to a new area that has them, and I've actually skipped 1 or 2 of those along the way in some of the lower level areas that I've visited late. Hunting log, we've been sort of keeping up with. We're working on the 31 to 41 now, but we're level 39 already, so we won't be finishing that until odds are we're already past level 40. We also had our challenge log, which I believe I've now finished every possible objective for the week, so we won't be gaining any more experience points for those. Of course, main scenario quests are on that list. We did do a few side quests while in queue for roulettes or dungeons, and we of course did our class and job quests as well every 5 levels. One important thing we have to make sure we keep track of is the number of roulettes that we get to do. Now from levels 1 to 50, we aren't going to have that much access. We'll have a guild hest roulette and a leveling roulette. We've done 4 guild hest roulettes throughout this time and 3 total leveling roulettes. It's not enough to just track the number of hours played because we've done it over 4 separate days. And roulettes are a great way to stay ahead of the main scenario curve that actually greatly behoove people who can't play more than a few hours a day. I find it hard to think that you could fall that far behind if you just do these once a day. And again, we aren't queuing with anyone. We are doing DPS solo queues every time that we do every dungeon, every guild hest, every roulette. And it's turning out okay. We're even doing them at like 7 to 10 in the morning most of the time, Pacific Standard Time. Now we are, of course, benefiting from more people being home, but I don't know if that's going to make that much of a difference. I've just made sure to hit every single note along the way, and this lead has only gotten bigger and bigger, even without Preferred World, even without things like the earrings that give you bonus EXP from pre-ordering Shadowbringers, which aren't available anymore. Things like the Friendship Circlet. We don't have any of those things, and yet we have over 200k gil and we're 9 levels ahead of the main scenario. It's actually insane. Another reason that I think I've managed to stay so far ahead of the main scenario is the way that my scheduling has actually been done. So I've been doing these kind of shorter days and these longer days. Now the difference is usually only an hour or 2, but on the shorter days, I feel like I'm mostly just sitting in cutscenes. Like I got 5 levels on day 3. And on the second day, I managed to get like 7 levels. And the difference between that time is about an hour and a half, 2 hours. But on any day with a lot of cutscenes, my progress significantly slows down. So the fact that day 3 was kind of a shorter day, and I got to do my roulettes and whatever I got access to, and then the next day on the longer day, I not only got to do roulettes, but I got to churn out a bunch of the higher level dungeons, I think that it just kind of worked out where my longer day also had less cutscenes, so it just gave me more time to get ahead of everything. And mind you that I'm deliberately taking longer to get things done at times. I've started teleporting a little bit more, but I'm still doing things like taking the chocobo porter, even walking places, forgetting to use my mount from time to time, or just having poor routing, going one location, realizing, oh, I forgot to do that, leaving, going to a completely different location, stopping and trying to do like random things around the map, like a sightseeing log, or just, I don't know. I've done all sorts of little things that I feel like they're wasting time, but I'm trying to bring my time up deliberately in a sense, because my game knowledge is speeding this up. Without a doubt, I just know too much about where to go and how to get there. So even these little tiny things aren't really kind of making up for this and giving a more accurate time frame of what a new player would experience. One thing that is certainly giving me the new player experience is the dungeon. So because I've been solo queuing in, actually almost every dungeon I've gotten and guild has been all sprouts. And like not sprouts that are like, experienced players or people playing alts like new characters. It's been legitimate, never done this before, barely understand this game's sprouts. So this has resulted in generally slower dungeons. I'd say I had a good Cutter's Cry, which I actually disconnected during, unfortunately, and lost a bunch of EXP from not being around to kill the monsters, but I didn't get kicked, thank you to that group. Hawk Manor went really, really well, even with 4 sprouts. I think they were all alts on that one. And my leveling roulettes as well have all been pretty consistent, but every dungeon other than that has been pretty slow paced. I had like a Toto Rock where the tank had no idea where to go, and we let him kind of lead the way. And we've had plenty of dungeons where like, tank stance is forgotten, or healers auto attack with books. Also, I had a single dungeon, my Sunken Temple of Karn, where we died on the first boss 3 or 4 times, and then we had like a Dragoon that would like only have like 20% uptime. He would like run out of range every time he saw an AoE, even if it wasn't aimed at him. A tank that wasn't dodging AoEs, no healer DPS, like all these little things that I take for granted as a higher level player, understanding that I already have, is not intuitive to a new player. And a new player is going to learn like this. You never know what kind of player you're going to get in the Duty Finder, and I've seen some that start off kind of rough, that get kind of smoothed out towards the end. That Sunken Temple was a big one where it really improved gradually throughout the dungeon after we got past the first boss. And it's definitely elongated my experience, but it's also been kind of reminding me that what it's like to be in that new player's shoes who may run into these scenarios way more often, because this is not an experience I've had in a long time. Even during the Healer Happy series, I was playing the healer. I could always make up for mistakes like this. Playing as a DPS and just watching things like this happen, I don't have a lot of power. And it's been enlightening, to say the least. Now, my expectations for days 5 through 7 are a little bit mixed. Now that Brayflox is the last dungeon that I'm technically going to have access to until Stone Vigil, which is at 41, I'm questioning how 40 to 49 in particular is going to go, because that's what's next on the step for me. I'm thinking maybe at the beginning of day 5, queue into a Cutter's Cry so I can get as much EXP from that before my leveling roulette pops, then get my leveling roulette. If I'm lucky, it'll be Cutter's Cry again. And then that will probably push me to like high 40, 41. And then I'll have Brayflox, which will probably be worth like, a third, a fourth of a level, or a third to like half of a level because of everything, plus a little bit of rested EXP I get. And I think it's, at that point, that's the mad sprint, because I need to keep that lead as consistently as possible all the way up until the mid 40s. I need to be still at like 45, 46 by the time I get to Stone Vigil. And I'm curious to see if that's actually how it's going to play out. If I can be at about that point by the time I get to Stone Vigil, I feel comfortable that with Zamiel, Darkhold, and Ormvale, there's no way I fall behind the main scenario. So that's definitely going to be what we're routing for. I'm also debating about doing Grand Company stuff. So I have nowhere near enough Grand Company seals to actually rank up. And this is something I'd recommend a new player do. So I'm trying to think now if I should look back and route into it, or just consider like what a new player would get out of their Grand Company while leveling it up, or how much a player would have to have diverted their attention to get their Grand Company stuff done. You can unlock PvP, or specifically the Wolf's Den, for like 1,500 Grand Company tickets. There's Fates, which I have been stopping to do, but I can't even get to my rank 2 Grand Company log right now because I don't have Flame. I think it's Flame Private 3rd class is what I'm looking for, or Flame Sergeant 3rd class, one of the two. And it's 5,000 tokens away, 5,000 Grand Company seals away from where I am right now. And I've already done Cutter's Cry, which technically has some rank 2 Grand Company monsters in there. So you would have liked to have had that before going into Cutter's Cry, so you don't have to go back and do it later. So this might even factor into kind of like the new player struggle, and we might deliberately divert attention to go do that, to elongate this experience, because a new player should be doing that. You can't unlock the hunt without being a high enough rank, and the hunt is a really big thing when you're leveling past A Realm Reborn. So I wonder if they'll streamline this at all in 5.3 as well, because I think that's a big thing they need to take a look at. It can't just be leveling anymore. I'm seeing other elements that they need to look at streamlining when 5.3 comes around, and I don't think that's going to be part of their focus. But that's what the plan is. Day 5 will be streaming on Sunday, Day 6 will be on Monday, and Day 7, which will be the start of a new week, meaning we get new challenge logs in, will probably be the day that we at least get through 2.0. There's definitely going to be a bit of a mad dash through main scenario quests over one of those days to try and get as close to being done as possible. But the idea is I would like to have the 2.0, not anything past that, main scenario done in under 50 hours, and that's what we're hoping to hit. Every day after that, we're hoping to finish the entirety of a patch in a 7-hour window. Takes 5 days to do that, maybe 6 for 0.25 or for 2.55, and we're hoping to end at approximately under 100 hours. And this is still really conservative of me to think that it'll end in about that time. But that's what our goals are right now. So be on the lookout for days 5, 6, and 7. Hopefully they're more eventful than day 3 was, but maybe I have to combine the day 5 through 7 videos to talk about the mad dash towards the end. It depends on how the numbers start looking and how much I really feel like we have specific things to talk about. As for highlights, we actually don't have that many in regards to moments that we can look at. Some of it we do have from like dungeons. There was something that the tank and my Sunken Temple of Karn said that actually cracked me up. But it was part of a learning experience, and I feel like it's almost shaming them in a sense to include it as a highlight clip here. It was funny on the live stream, you know, we had a good laugh about it, but I don't want to subject them to that here. So you'll have to go and watch. I have the full VODs up on Twitch. People have been requesting me to put them on YouTube. It just feels so tacky. It's like, it's literally Twitch content being put on YouTube, and I've largely tried to avoid that outside of like first time killing a monster or recording a video for YouTube live on Twitch. But I've been getting the requests more and more, so maybe we do it. It's in 22 parts currently. It's 50-50. I'm 50-50 on it, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section of the video below. And that's going to be a wrap for this day's recording. I wish I had more to share, but that's all we have for today. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share, and stay tuned for the next update video on A Realm Reborn Restart. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, take care.